Sponsorships, sponsorships, sponsorships. Everybody who's a bass fisherman always wants to know, how do I go about getting sponsors? How do I go about getting these partners? And I'm gonna let you know right now that I have a way. I have a way that you can get cash paying sponsors, people that are going to give you dollar bills to go out there and go fishing. And I did this for a number of years. I mean, I still do this, but I did this for a number of years before I ever had any kind of social media following. Like literally when I had nothing, I was able to do this and get thousands of dollars per year in sponsorship money to go out there and go fishing. And I'm going to share this exact same process with you right now. If you don't know anything about me, obviously you know that I have this YouTube channel, but I actually went to Ohio State University. I studied marketing there. I worked for marketing companies for well over 10 years of my life. I understand the marketing side of businesses very, very well, which has helped me with the sponsorship side and the partnership side of fishing. So again, I'm going to share everything with you in this video. It's probably going to be a little bit long, but I guarantee if you watch this whole thing, by the end of it, you're going to know exactly what you need to do and how you need to do it to get cash paying dollar bills to go fishing. So stay tuned. It's going to be a good one. So back in 2008, I was graduating high school. I was 18 years old and I wanted to fish the opens as a co-angler, and I wanted to fish my local tournament series like the BFLs. And these tournaments cost a lot of money to fish. As an 18-year-old, I didn't have money to fish them. And whether you're 18 years old and you're watching this, or you're 57 and you're watching this and you just want to get some of these tournament entry fees and costs that you have paid for, I'm going to show you the exact process that I used to do this, because in 2008, as an 18-year-old, I was able to get all of my open tournaments, not only entry fees, but my gas to get there, my equipment to fish these tournaments. I got them all absolutely paid for. Everything was completely paid for. My lodging at the hotels of these open events. And guess what? I went and fished the very first open that I ever fished. I got 4th place in and I won $2,500. The very next open that I fished, I won $1,300. The very next open, which was the 3rd open of that year, the last one, I won another like $600. So I made $4,000 as a tournament fisherman, fishing co-angler on the opens, and I did not pay a dime to do that. If I had been paying money, I pretty much just would have broken even, and I would have been actually pretty excited about that, but I actually made money. Now, I know that $4,000 is not enough to change your life, but who doesn't want to get maybe some tournaments, maybe a fishing excursion or adventure paid for? And that is exactly what I'm about to show you. And I actually did this not only for that year, I continued to do that all the way up until 2020, just a couple of years ago, when I fished the opens on the boater side. It cost me over $12,000 to do so. I had about 90% of the funds completely paid for using this exact same system. I actually talked to Wendy's corporate with using this exact same system, like Wendy's that you see on every street corner. I talked to them as a company. Now, they told me no, they didn't. And the reason was that they didn't sponsor individuals. But regardless, I'm just saying that this really simple system works well. And it's something that you can use as an angler, no matter if you have a social media following or if you have zero following at all. So let's actually get into this system right now. So the big thing is that when it comes to sponsorships, everybody wants to be sponsored by these huge fishing brands, right? They want to be sponsored by the Strike Kings and the Abu Garcias and the Arc Rods and the Icon Boats, and all these different big fishing brands are who anglers want to be sponsored by. All of those major fishing brands are probably going to tell you no. And the biggest reason is they are looking for big followings. So if you have a big following, you're probably not watching this video anyways. But if you don't have a really big following on social media, these companies are not going to be interested in you. I'm just going to let you know hands down. But That's okay, because a lot of these companies too, these bigger fishing brands, they're going to start out with a lot of free product, and then maybe you can get to them where they're actually paying you money. But there's a totally different market that you guys can utilize right now, where you can get, again, I'm talking cash, I'm talking dollar bills, I'm talking money to go out there and buy equipment, to buy lures, to get into entries, to have your gas paid for. I'm telling you, this is very simple, but it just works. What's this opportunity? What's this market? Well, it's the local business. In 2008, like I talked about, when I wanted to fish the opens, the reason that I even stumbled upon this was because I went to the dentist, and when I was walking through the dentist, I looked up at the wall, and there was a bunch of baseball teams and picture frames on the wall of the dentist. And they all had the name of the dentist across their shirt. And so anyways, I ended up asking my dentist while he's cleaning my teeth about this. And I just said, what's up with all the baseball teams? And he simply said, hey, we sponsor those teams so that they can play. And I'm like, really? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, would you sponsor me? Basically is what I said. And he said, well, what do you have to provide? And we started a conversation right then and there. And that is the biggest takeaway that I want you guys to get, is you shouldn't want to start off looking in the fishing industry for cash paying sponsors. You should start at the local company, the company that's right next to you, because there are roofers, there are HVAC companies, there are dentists, there are chiropractors, there are a lot of different local companies around you that are willing to give you money to go out and go fishing. And this is exactly what I did. These were the companies that I actually used and actually got money from to go fishing. Now, you have to provide them with value, and we're going to get to all that here in just a minute. But it's the local company. There's over 30 million local companies in the United States. And if you're listening to this outside of the United States, there's local companies next to you as well. But that means that there's probably 600, 700,000 in your individual state. These are all potential sponsorship opportunities. The big thing that you have to provide them with is value. And like I said, we're going to talk about that in just a minute here. Now, some of you may be like, well, Tyler, I don't want to fish the opens. I just want to be able to fish local tournaments. And you can use this exact same system. And I'm going to break it down for you right now, and how you present this to one of those local businesses, a cash paying sponsor. And this is how you're going to do it. Because this to me is what most of my local tournament events look something like this. Maybe you have a local team trail that you fish that has 6 tournaments in it. So a lot of these tournaments, you're looking at about $100 an entry, maybe $50 in gas, maybe $50 for lures and equipment. That might be on the smaller side of things, but for easy math, you're looking at $200 a tournament, $1,200 for the year to fish that local team trail. Maybe you also want to fish 4 other open events, maybe an open on your, a local open on the lake that you always fish. You want to fish that tournament, it's going to cost you $800 to fish those tournaments, those 4 tournaments. And then maybe you have 10 Tuesday nighters that you also fish, and you have a $20 entry for those, and maybe $10 in fuel. It's probably more than that, but again, easy math here. So $300 for Tuesday nighters, $800 for your local opens, and another $1,200 for those team trail events. And then also, you need a new flipping stick. Maybe you need a new flipping stick. Maybe you need a new cranking rod and 2 reels to go with those. So you're looking at somewhere around $700 for those 2 new setups. So in order to fish all those tournaments, as well as get your new flipping stick and cranking rod and reel, you're going to be spending somewhere around $3,000. Now, my goal for you, and my goal when I was doing this, was always to try to get 10 sponsors to individually split up the cost. 10 sponsors is easy for me to manage. That's what I used to do all the time. It's easy for me to communicate with 10 people. If you get a lot more than that, it's just a lot of people that you have to communicate with. If you have $3,000 in expenses and 10 sponsors, that means that you need to get each one of those sponsors or local businesses to give you $300 for the year, which that really isn't like a ton of money. Now, on top of that, you can break it down even further. You can say that, hey, I need $300 for you for the year to fish 20 tournaments. So 300 divided by 20 is $15. Okay. So if you go to a sponsor and you communicate, hey, I'm looking for $15 per tournament for 20 tournaments for the year, totaling 300 tournaments, that seems very reasonable for a lot of local businesses to give you money. Now, again, you have to provide value. And we're going to talk about that and how you can provide value in just a minute. But that's how you always want to break things down. You want to break it down to see, hey, this is all I need from you. I need $15 per tournament for each one that I'm going to fish this year, which is just it's not a lot of money if you really think about it. Now, you may be sitting there saying, okay, Tyler, I understand what you are saying, but who are these companies that I should contact, or where do I even start here? The big thing here that I always looked at is start with people that you know. Pretty much, if you really think about all the people that you know, you might have your best friend might own a company, or your brother's mom might, well, that would be your mom. Never mind. There's somebody that you probably know who owns some companies. Start there. And to me, this is kind of like, if you've heard of Dave Ramsey, he talks about the snowball effect. If you start with some people that you know with this and they start saying yes, it just gets the momentum going. It gives you the confidence to talk to other companies to try to ask for cash to go fishing. So I always suggest to start with people that you know. If you look at my tournament jersey from 2008 when I fished these tournaments, Environmental Management Inc., that's across the top, that's my dad's cousin's husband's company, right? And I actually asked him at the time for $250. He loved what I was doing. He was a big outdoorsman. He gave me $1,000. He gave me 4 times what I was asking. And that can very well happen with you. I asked for $250 for the year. He gave me $1,000. Now, on the flip side of things, I want you to know that this is going to require work and you will be told no from time to time. As a matter of fact, my uncle at the time, well, he's still my uncle, but my uncle at the time, I asked him for the same $250. He gave me $100 and he was basically said, prove it to me. Now that same uncle, the very next year when I approached him about sponsoring me again, he actually gave me more than I had asked for because I had done such a good job at promoting his business. He was seeing what I was doing. He was impressed and he gave me more money. Okay. So you're going to be told no. You may have someone that you know personally. Don't take it personal, right? It's always, a lot of people say not to mix business with family. And I understand that, but also I think it's good to get things rolling. Now, after you find those people that own companies that you know, then the next thing is to look at the companies that you support daily. Maybe there's a restaurant that you go to every Thursday night that you absolutely love. That's the person that I would talk to because you already are behind what that business is doing. It's easy for you to promote them. Maybe there's a pest control company that you use at your house. The places that you go often, maybe it's where you get your car fixed. Whatever it may be, those are the next places that you want to go to because you're already giving that particular company money and you have already shown that you enjoy what they do. It's very easy then for you to talk to other people about that company. So with that being said, I would honestly pause the video right now and I would try to come up with a list of 30 different companies that maybe people that you know, places that you go, that you can put down in a list that you can then approach and hopefully get 10 of them to sponsor you. Because like I said, you're going to get said no to. It's just going to happen. You can't be fearful of that. You're going to get said no to. It's 100% fine. I mean, like I talked about, Wendy's, corporate, they told me no. Now, moving on to the very next step, and that is providing value. To me, this is the most important thing that you can do, because these companies aren't just going to give you money, right? They're not just going to give, no one in this world is going to give you money just because. Maybe your grandma. But besides that, nobody's just going to give you money. You have to provide them value. You have to be able to do something that they find intriguing or that they think can bring them more business. At the end of the day, having a cash-paying sponsor is really like creating a little job for yourself. That's what it really is. You can't just ask for money and then not do anything in return. Like you have to have some sort of value as to what you are doing. You have to be able to let these companies know that you can provide them with value or do something for them. And the biggest thing that I have found when it comes to providing a company with value is that it's all different. Every company is going to see value a little bit differently. For example, some companies that I currently work with, they don't necessarily need me to sell product, but they do like when I sell product, but they're in it more or less for branding purposes. They want people to know that, Bass Fishing HQ is with this particular company. Now, other companies I work with, they want to see profits. They want to see, hey, I put $100 in with you. I want to see $400 in return. And for you in doing this with local companies, every local company that you partner with is also going to see value a little bit differently. And so it's very important to try to fill a need. That's the biggest thing that I can tell you. Try to fill a need for that business. And I would highly suggest that you come up with a list of 5, 6, 10 different things that you can do for that company that provides them with value. So when you sit down to talk about why they are giving you money, you in turn say, this is what I'm going to do for you. And they can then assess whether it's worth their money and worth their investment to put it into you. Now, one thing that you can provide companies, and this is the bare minimum, is simple jersey marketing, right? If you go to a local tournament and you're fishing with 50 other boats, a lot of times that means there's 100 guys there. Well, sometimes some wives and daughters and sons come to the tournament as well. So there might be at a weigh-in, there might be 100, 150 people at that weigh-in. So you can tell your local company, hey, at every tournament I go to, there's this amount of people at the tournament, and I'm going to have a jersey that says your name, your website, and your phone number right there. Now, again, 150 people isn't a lot, but if there is somebody in that crowd, maybe John who fishes all these tournaments sees that you're sponsored by a tree care company, and maybe he comes up to you and says, hey man, who's this tree care company? And then you sit there and talk to him about that, bam. That is value. That is something that you can legitimately talk to sponsors and these potential companies about is, hey, I'm going to wear a jersey that has your info on it. When people come up and talk to me, I'm going to tell them why they should go with you as a company. So that's one way that you can market them. Now, another thing that you can do is actually pass out some sort of brochure at these tournaments that you are fishing, okay? And I would always ask your tournament director about this first, because that's what I did. Like when I was 18, I said like, hey, I have a couple of sponsors that are willing to give the guys who I fish with 25% off a service or a product if they just use this brochure. And so I printed off a bunch of brochures and I asked him, he said, yeah, you can pass them out. So I passed them out to my friends saying, hey, if you want to get, some work done on your house, you can use this handyman and he's going to give you 25% off. So that's something else that you can provide. And if you're at a tournament with 100, 150, 200 people there, you can get the name out to a lot of local people for a local business. This is providing value for that business. Now, another thing that you can do, especially if you own a truck and a boat, is do a wrap of a company. And you don't have to do a full wrap. You can do a partial wrap, or you can even do some just really large stickers and logos or decals. But that is something that a lot of companies do find value in. Now, the big thing here is that you want to make sure that you have that company pay for whatever it is. You want them to pay for the decals or the wrap. You're not going to take that out of your own pocket because that can be expensive. If they're giving you $250 to go fishing and then you spend $1,000 or better on decals, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So that is a bigger expense and it may require you to do a little bit more, but there are companies that see a lot of value. My dad's cousin's husband who owned that environmental management, he wanted to wrap my boat. He wanted to put these stickers on. We did this whole wrap, and it was on a 1989 Javelin bass boat. It wasn't on a brand new bass boat. It was on a really old bass boat, and the thing looked bad to the bone. And it was awesome, and I fished out of that boat for years, and it probably still has that wrap on it, although I haven't seen it in 15 years. Now, the other thing that I highly suggest that you do is simply talk about these businesses that are supporting you on whatever social media accounts that you have. If you just have a good old Facebook and you get 15 likes on a post, that's engagement. You can still use that of some sort. You can talk about the company that's partnered with you. People love seeing that stuff. And again, it might help those people when they go to make a purchase. If they know that you're kind of with a certain company, it might persuade them to use that company for whatever service or product that they need. And again, that is very valuable for a potential sponsor. Now, I want to talk quickly about YouTube and a YouTube strategy that you can use even if you have zero following on YouTube, okay? And most anglers these days have a GoPro. And if they don't have a GoPro, then I would suggest building that expense of a GoPro, $300-$400, into your overall sponsorship package that you're going to give to companies. Because this little YouTube strategy is something that I think could work really, really well. I haven't done it, but knowing what I know from YouTube, knowing what I know from marketing, I can see that this works really, really well. And this is the strategy. A lot of anglers, before they go to a fishery of some sort, what are they going to type in YouTube? They're going to type in the name of that fishery plus like bass fishing. For example, I fish a lake nearby all the time and it's called Alum Creek. So I might type in Alum Creek bass fishing before I go to that lake. Now, because that is such a highly specific search on YouTube, there's not a ton of YouTube videos that people have made about that specific subject. So it's a lot easier for your video to get shown and seen by people who are looking up a very specific subject. And not only that, but people are always looking that up. If they live on a lake, people always want to see what is happening on that lake currently. So if you fish 3 or 4 different lakes in your general area, always bring a GoPro video with you. Video what you're doing out there. You can cut out the specific spots that you don't love and just post it on YouTube and post Alum Creek Bass Fishing March 2024. And people who are watching during that month, that's such a highly specific search that they're going to absolutely eat that up. And in that video, you may only get 300, 400, 500, maybe 1,000 views on that video, but all those views are going to be from people who are going to fish that lake. And most of the people who are fishing that lake are local to that lake. So if you have local sponsors and local people, it's a perfect match. And you can use those analytics. You can say, hey, I made 10 videos over the course of this year. They all got between 250 and 600 views on them. And I got 6,000 views total. And your $300 went towards 6,000 views. Now, the big thing that you want to make sure is mention them somewhere in the video, or at least talk about them, or let their information be shown. You can actually just have a regular YouTube video, but at the very bottom, put the company name and the number in the website and let it flash every 10 seconds, 15 seconds. You can use that when it comes to getting sponsorships, and it's a very easy strategy. Anyone can do this. Anyone can do this at all. And it's a great way to also get into the YouTube game if you actually want to do that. Now, those are definitely some things that you can do for potential local companies, but they're absolutely not limited to that. There's a number of different things. There's a lot of guys who have different strengths out there, and gals who have different strengths or different things that they can do to provide a company with value of some sort. Again, like I talked about, you want to fill a need. You know, one need that I saw, and this was a company locally, they're called Columbus Barrel Company, and they make different products out of bourbon barrels. Like they make my hat, for example. The hat that I have right here, they actually make it. This is a piece of wood on top of it. Now, one of the needs that they had is when I fished the opens, I would go to different areas of the country. I would go to Carolina, Florida. In all of these different areas, there's local breweries, there's local distilleries that could actually buy products from Columbus Barrel and sell in their own gift shops. So what did I do? I filled a need. I went to different breweries and different distilleries along my way, and I talked to them about Columbus Barrel Company. I was like a little sales guy for Columbus Barrel Company. I filled a need, and in return, Columbus Barrel paid my expenses for fishing the Bassmaster Opens. So again, fill a need. Create value, and that is what these companies are going to give you money to go and fish tournaments or just fish in general. Now, when it comes to actually going out and contacting these companies, you can do this a number of different ways. You can actually go to the physical business, that local company, and say, hey, can I talk to the person in charge of marketing? That's usually the person that you want to talk to before the owner, okay? Talk to the person who's in charge of marketing. That person will then bring it to the owner if he thinks that he needs to. So talk to that person in charge of marketing and just say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. Another thing you can do is mail a letter. You can actually find out online who's in charge of marketing for certain companies and mail them a letter. What's the worst they're going to say? No. That's it. That's the worst that they can say is no. So what if you spent the time this weekend and you created 50 different packets and put them in 50 different envelopes and sent them to 50 different local companies, and 40 of them said, no, we're not going to do that. But 10 of them said, hey, I'm interested in talking more about this, and then they sponsor you? There's your 10 companies. There's your money to go fishing. Now, when it comes to actually sending out a proposal or a letter, you don't just want a Word document with like 5 paragraphs of words on it. You want everything to be bullet points. You want everything to be on one page. If you can get everything on one page, that is really, really important because, people who are in charge of marketing, people who are owners, they see a lot of stuff come across their desks. They don't want to have to take a lot of time to look at something. So one page, bullet points, you want to, clearly state at the top, hey, I'm looking to promote your business in a professional manner for this amount of money. And then right under that, put your marketing initiatives. What can you do for this company for that dollar amount that you're talking about? And then at the very end of it, you can say, this is how I'm going to track this. And then at the very, very end, you're going to have where they can put a signature to sign a contract. Make it really, really simple. You can literally physically pass these out to people. You can email them, although emails can get really lost at times, or you can send them in a letter. However you go about it, just have it somewhere in writing as to what you can do for them and what they're going to do for you. If you do this, I can almost guarantee that you're going to get some sponsors, because I did this for years and years and years. And every company I ever worked with was extremely happy to work with me. And also every company that I worked with wanted to work with me the next year and the next year and the next year. And guess what? Sometimes you can also up your prices. Maybe they do $250 one year, and then you say the next year, maybe it's $500. Soon you might be getting $10, $12, $13, $20,000 a year to just go fish tournaments locally. But again, you have to provide value. Well, that is it for me, guys. And guess what? YouTube thinks that you're going to enjoy this video a lot. That is literally what it says, that it's going to recommend an individual video for you. So if you guys like this video, you're probably going to enjoy this one as well. Please comment below. Let me know when you get some sponsors. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.